You hell angels or what? The sneering voice cut through the laughter and music of the county fair, making heads turn. A group of rowdy boys had cornered two girls near the Ferris wheel, their mocking grins flashing under the fairground lights. They were twins, dressed in their farm boots and simple dresses, the kind of girls who knew how to work a field better than paint their nails. One of them stood quietly, her hands tightening around the straps of her small purse, but the other, her sister, stepped forward, her chin lifting in defiance. "Leave us alone," she said firmly, her voice steady though her heart was racing. The boys weren't used to anyone, least of all a farm girl, talking back. They laughed louder, circling them like hyenas. "What are you gonna do, cowgirl? Cool your horses, maybe your tractor?" Another jeered, shoving her shoulder roughly. But what they didn't know, what nobody at that fair expected, was that these twins had family beyond blood, family made of steel, leather, and roaring engines. The bold twins' eyes flashed as she straightened up, refusing to show fear. She wasn't alone, not really. Earlier that evening, before heading to the fair, she had sent a quick message on her phone. Just 3 words, "We need you." That was all it took. Because when you're family to a brotherhood of bikers, you're never left standing alone. The bullies grew louder, mocking the girls, trying to push them around, thinking they were helpless prey. The crowd nearby hesitated, watching, whispering, unsure whether to step in or let things play out. The quieter twin tugged at her sister's arm, whispering, "Please, let's just go." But her sister shook her head, her voice sharp as she snapped back at the boys. "You'll regret this." That was when they sneered those words. "You hell angels or what?" Their laughter dripping with arrogance. And then it came. At first it was a faint rumble, like thunder rolling across the distant fields. The bullies paused, frowning, trying to figure out what it was. The ground seemed to vibrate underfoot. People started turning their heads, looking down the main road that led straight into the fairground. The rumble grew louder, stronger, like a storm made of engines and fury. And then the lights hit. Headlights, dozens of them, cutting through the night as one by one, bikes roared into the fairgrounds. Chrome gleamed. Leather jackets caught the glow of the carnival rides. The air filled with the deep, snarling thunder of engines revving in unison. 99 bikers, riding as one, stormed the fair, their entrance so fierce it silenced the entire crowd. The boys who had been laughing suddenly froze, their smirks wiped clean. Fear trickled into their eyes as the bikers rolled in, circling the fairgrounds like wolves closing in on prey. The leader, a massive man with a beard that reached his chest and eyes sharp as steel, cut the engine of his black Harley. Slowly, the others followed, one after another, the sudden silence of stopped engines hitting harder than the roar had. The leader dismounted, his boots heavy against the gravel, and walked straight toward the twins. He didn't need to ask what had happened. He didn't need to say a word. The bold farm girl met his gaze, and with a small nod, the story was told. The bikers turned as one, their eyes falling on the group of bullies who now looked as if the ground might swallow them whole. One of the bikers chuckled low, pulling off his gloves. "So, these the tough guys?" he asked, his voice dripping with sarcasm. The leader tilted his head slightly, his voice a gravelly growl. "You boys like picking on girls." The bullies stammered, trying to find their voices, but the crowd had gathered now, watching with wide eyes, whispering, phones raised to record. The fair had turned into a stage, and these bullies had no way out. Another biker leaned on his handlebars, grinning. "Funny, I don't see so much toughness now. Maybe you should try picking on someone your own size." The silence stretched, thick with tension. Then, without warning, one of the bullies broke and ran, his friends scrambling after him like frightened rabbits. The crowd erupted in cheers and laughter, the sound rolling across the fairgrounds. The farm girl twin stood tall, her sister clutching her arm, still trembling but safe. The leader looked down at her, his voice softening. "You did good, kid. You stood your ground, but next time, don't wait so long to call." She nodded, her lips curving into the smallest of smiles. The bikers didn't linger long. They weren't there for attention or glory. They were there for family. With a rumble of engines, they mounted their bikes again, one by one, the thunder rising like a battle hymn. The fairground lit up as they rode out, their taillights glowing like embers fading into the distance. But the mark they left behind was unforgettable. Everyone there that night would remember the storm of 99 bikers who had shown up, not for a fight, but for loyalty. The twins walked away from the Ferris wheel, the bold one squeezing her sister's hand. "See, I told you we weren't alone," she whispered. Her sister smiled through her tears, finally believing it. The bullies were gone. The fair was alive again. And the legend of that night began to spread before the rides even closed down. How 99 bikers stormed the fair when farm girl twins were in danger. It was a story about courage, about standing tall even when you're scared, and about the kind of family that doesn't need blood to be bound together. And as the music of the fair picked up again, laughter and lights filling the air, one truth lingered in everyone's heart. You can mock, you can threaten, but if you pick on the wrong farm girl, you might just call down a storm of steel and thunder that you'll never forget. That night at the county fair was supposed to be like any other, with music drifting through the cool air, rides spinning under the lights, and the smell of popcorn and cotton candy pulling people from one booth to the next. But for the farm girl twins, it became a night they would never forget. A night when fear turned into strength and strength turned into legend. For as they walked past the Ferris wheel, laughter and chatter around them, a group of boys stepped in their way, grins too sharp, voices too loud, words dripping with arrogance. And though the twins had seen cruelty before, this was different, because these boys weren't teasing for fun. They were hunting for weakness, circling like wolves around lambs, yet one of the twins, the bolder one, refused to bow her head. She lifted her chin, her voice steady though her pulse raced, telling them firmly to back off, and when the boys laughed harder, mocking her boots, her accent, her simple country dress, she didn't flinch. She stood her ground, even when one shoved her shoulder roughly, trying to knock her balance, and her quieter sister tugged at her arm, whispering they should leave, but the bold one shook her head, whispering back that sometimes you have to fight, not with fists but with courage. And that was when the boys sneered those words that sparked everything. You hell angels or what? They mocked, their laughter rising, not knowing how close they were to summoning the storm, because what those bullies never understood was that family isn't just blood. Sometimes it's forged in fire, in trust, in loyalty, and this farm girl twin had a family larger than anyone there could have imagined, a family made of 99 roaring engines and leather jackets who answered when called. For earlier that evening, before heading out, she had typed 3 words into her phone, "We need you," and that message had flown across the county like a spark on dry hay, igniting a chain that no bully could ever stop. So while the fair glittered with lights, while the crowd whispered and watched, a sound began to roll across the night, faint at first, then stronger, like thunder crawling over the horizon, and the boys stopped laughing, frowning as the ground seemed to tremble beneath their sneakers, and heads turned down the main road leading to the fair, the crowd falling silent as the sound grew into a roar, and then the lights appeared, dozens of headlights cutting through the darkness, chrome flashing like fireflies under the neon, and one by one, bikes stormed into fairgrounds, the thunder of their engines swallowing the music of the rides, leather and steel flooding the open space until the air vibrated with their presence. 99 bikers riding together as if summoned by some invisible call. And when they rolled in, circling the grounds, the fair felt like it had shifted from carnival to coliseum, the bullies now caught in the center of a storm, their smirks gone, their eyes wide with panic, because nothing in their lives had prepared them for this sight, for this wall of loyalty and power that came not with fists raised but with silence heavier than any threat. And then the leader appeared, a massive figure with a beard like a river of steel and eyes that burned with quiet authority, his Harley shutting off with a growl that echoed across the gravel, and one by one, the others followed, the sudden silence after the roar hitting harder than any shout, boots hitting the ground as the leader strode toward the twins, the bold girl standing tall though her knees wobbled, her sister clinging to her arm, and with just a glance and a nod, the story was told, no words needed, because family doesn't need long explanations. They see, they know, and they act, and as the bikers turned to the bullies, the weight of their stares pressed harder than chains. One biker chuckled, pulling off his gloves, his grin sharp as a knife, asking if these were the tough guys, another leaning against his handlebars, mocking softly that they didn't look so tough now, and the leader, his voice a gravelly growl, asked the only question that mattered, "You boys like picking on girls?" And silence followed, broken only by the crowd gasping, cameras raised, whispers spreading like fire, and then, like cowards always do, one of the bullies cracked, bolting into the crowd, his friends scattering after him like leaves in the wind, and the fair erupted with cheers, clapping, laughter. The tension exploding into relief while the twins stood in the center, one still trembling, the other holding her ground, and the leader bent down, his voice softening, telling her she had done well, that standing firm was no small thing, but that she should never wait so long to call again. And she nodded, tears shining but pride stronger than fear, her sister finally smiling through the rush of safety. And with that, the bikers mounted their bikes again, engines roaring back to life like thunder reclaiming the night, one after another, 99 taillights glowing like embers as they rode away, not for glory, not for spectacle, but because family protects and then disappears into the dark, leaving only stories behind. And as the fair returned to life, rides spinning, music playing, people laughing again, everyone knew they had witnessed something unforgettable, a legend born not from violence but from unity, from the truth that when you pick on the wrong farm girl, you don't just face her, you face the storm that comes with her, a storm of steel, loyalty, and thunder that no bully will ever forget.